10 survival experts will take on the challenge of surviving 100 days at Chico Lake. Whoever makes it to the end will win a grand prize of $500,000. Before we dive into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next exciting episodes. Let's get started. In the previous episode, Tim had to withdraw from the challenge due to heart issues. Fortunately, the crew was able to get him home safely. Now, only 9 contestants remain in the competition. Stay tuned until the very last episodes to find out who will walk away with the $500,000 prize. Jordan is the 10th contestant in the competition. While chopping wood to build his shelter, he discovered a large number of ants, an excellent natural source of protein. He managed to swallow a few big mouthfuls, finding the sour and slightly sweet taste surprisingly good. Back home in Tennessee, Jordan is a professional carpenter who enjoys making traps and outdoor structures. He also has a passion for wilderness survival. To pay off his mortgage and fulfill a promise he made to his late daughter, he entered this competition with great determination. He planned to build a slanted roof shelter to protect himself from black bear attacks, meaning the shelter had to be extremely sturdy. However, such work consumed a lot of energy, so he decided to sleep outside for the night. Later that night, while deep asleep, he was startled awake by the sound of a grizzly bear growling nearby, so frightening it nearly made him pee his pants. Luckily, the bear didn't seem interested in attacking him. At dawn the next day, Jordan observed grizzly bear tracks all around his camp and immediately felt the danger. He knew he had to quickly finish building his shelter. There was no more time to waste. On day 6, the weather seemed rather gloomy. As for Coulter, he was the second contestant who chose not to bring a fire starter. Before joining the competition, he had tested this method hundreds of times at home, boasting an 80% success rate. However, starting a fire in this environment proved far more challenging. It took him over 3 hours to finally get a flame going. Unlike the other contestants who focused on building sturdy shelters, Coulter decided to construct a wooden boat instead. He began by securing the boat's frame using logs, then layered it with waterproof fabric. Next, he chopped a few branches to reinforce the boat's sides and even added 3 support posts to prevent the hull from cracking under pressure. Finally, he made a simple paddle. Excitedly, Coulter dragged his little boat down to the water. But as soon as he sat on it, the boat nearly tipped over due to its unstable center of gravity. Luckily, he managed to regain control. Just a few minutes later, he was already paddling out, ready to go fishing. Let's check in with Teresa. She decided to dig an underground shelter, a method known for its excellent heat retention, helping her stay warm even when winter arrives. Since the show doesn't allow contestants to bring shovels, she had no choice but to use a wooden stick to dig, slowly and steadily. Teresa spent the entire afternoon working, and by the end, she had dug a hole about 1 meter deep. Next, she erected a large, sturdy central pole. She reinforced the base with stones and filled the area with water to make the structure even more stable. Then, smaller logs were arranged around it in a circular pattern. Looking at her creation, Teresa felt confident enough to believe she could stay here for all 100 days. Her neighbor, Michelle, was also busy building her shelter. She tied wooden poles together to form 2 tripod supports, then installed a horizontal beam across the top. After that, she filled in both sides with more wood and finally covered the structure with a waterproof tarp. Taking a look at the interior, it seemed pretty solid, good enough to keep out the rain and wind. I'd give her shelter a 7.5 out of 10. What about you? At this point, Nate finally remembered he needed to build a shelter. He didn't ask for much. As long as it could block the wind and rain, that was good enough for him. To get some protein, Nate headed to the lake to check the fishing line he had set earlier. And just like that, wish granted, he quickly caught his first salmon. He returned to camp and started cooking right away. With fresh mushrooms and wild berries on the side, it was basically a 5-star restaurant meal. How harsh would it be to survive in the wild, where contestants are required to have master-level survival skills, from building shelters to top-notch hunting abilities? If you were only allowed to bring 10 pieces of equipment, how many days do you think you could survive out there? It's now day 7 on the island, and only 9 contestants remain. Biko woke up very early in the morning to start building a new shelter. After getting dressed, he quickly got to work, placing several logs as support posts for the roof. He then tied smaller logs to both sides, repeating the same on the opposite end. After a busy morning, the frame of the roof was finally complete. Next, Chico needed to find a way to reinforce the walls. He gathered nearby tree bark to create walls that could block both rain and wind. To ensure a good night's sleep, he also collected fir leaves to make himself a warm and comfortable single bed. Finally, he laid a waterproof tarp over the roof, and just like that, his sturdy shelter was complete. Clay, on the other hand, was trying to craft something from his pink shorts. By tying off the pant legs, he instantly created a sturdy fabric pouch. He then placed the leftover fish meat inside and hung the pouch on a tree branch. That way, even if a bear showed up, it wouldn't be able to reach it. Although his shelter wasn't too bad, it definitely needed some upgrades. Clay stuffed moss into the gaps in the walls to improve insulation, so it wouldn't get too cold inside even when winter arrived. Of course, the top of the fireplace also had to be covered with soil, otherwise, lighting a fire indoors would fill the place with smoke. After completing all the preparations, Clay nervously lit a fire. It would not only provide warmth but also be used for cooking. Next, he needed to find a way to get food. Clay decided to take his gear and head up the mountain to try his luck. However, he hadn't gone far when he encountered a large area of fallen trees. It took great effort to make it through. After walking around for a while, he realized that there were no animals living in the area. This discovery immediately sank his spirits. With no way to supplement his protein intake, his only option was to turn his attention to wild berries. He picked a whole handful, but instead of eating them right away, he decided to store them for the winter. Clay dug a large hole, laid down wooden planks and moss, placed the red berries inside, and sealed it up. Now let's check in with Rose. She was all smiles today after crafting her own wooden fishing rod complete with a spinning reel. Full of excitement, she rushed to the riverbank to test it out. But after standing there for 3 long hours, not even a fish scale was caught. Looks like it's going to be another hungry night. Later that night, just as Rose was about to drift off to sleep, a loud noise jolted her awake. A huge grizzly bear was circling right outside her shelter. In a panic, she fired a flare into the sky. The loud explosion scared the bear off, but now Rose can't help but worry. What will the coming days have in store for her? By day 8, Matt was cooking himself a simple breakfast using some wild mushrooms to stave off hunger. These mushrooms were not only edible, but also great for health. When made into soup, they turned into a delicious and nourishing meal. Just one sip of the hot broth seemed to recharge his energy, filling his body with strength. Feeling revitalized, he planned to explore the area in search of protein sources. But what he didn't expect was a stroke of bad luck. The string of his bow had been chewed through by mice. This was truly unfortunate. Without a bow, it would be nearly impossible to hunt in the coming days, and meat would be off the table. Matt knew that quitting the competition just because of this would be laughable. Others would mock him, and he couldn't let that happen. After sitting and thinking for about 30 minutes, he made up his mind. He would repair the bow himself. Thanks to his skillful hands, he finally managed to restore his weapon. To teach those pesky mice a lesson, he even made a homemade mouse trap right inside his shelter. Looks like grilled mouse might be on the menu soon. The competition has quickly reached day 10. Over here, Michelle has gathered a large bundle of creeping grass roots. While they're known to have decent nutritional value, their taste is, well, awful. She roasted them lightly before chewing, and judging by the look on her face, it was clear they were nearly impossible to swallow. In hopes of getting some real protein, Michelle came up with a plan to catch salmon from the lake. She picked a sturdy stick, tied a bear hook to the end, and used a rock to secure it at the riverbank. Do you think this technique will work? Let us know in the comments. But things took a sudden turn as she returned to camp. Michelle doubled over with intense stomach pain. It must have been from the roots. To prevent poisoning, she chewed on a bit of charcoal that night, hoping it would ease the pain. Luckily, by the next morning, Michelle's body showed no serious symptoms, just lingering fatigue. It was a close call. She almost picked up the phone to call the show and withdraw from the competition. It's now day 12, and lately, Jordan has been constantly busy building his shelter. As a professional carpenter, he only allows himself to relax once his living space is properly set up. To replenish the energy he has burned, Jordan heads to the lake to fish. Unlike Rose, he's more fortunate. Just over 30 minutes in, he catches his first big fish. Back at camp, he immediately cooks up a pot of fish head soup, while the rest of the fish is placed over the fire to smoke for future meals. Let's take a look at Baiko and his story. A few days ago, he had been trying to fish by the lake nonstop, but whether it was due to the terrain or not, 3 or 4 days passed, and he still hadn't caught a single fish. To make matters worse, the area he's living in is surrounded by dense forest, yet strangely, he hasn't been able to spot any animals living nearby. Determined to leave this unlucky spot, Baiko decided to head to the other side of the lake to check things out. Taking the long way around would take up to 2 days, so even though the distance was estimated to be around 800 meters, he chose to cross directly. In just half an hour, Baiko had reached the other shore, but the sight before him left him stunned. The forest there was even denser than the one he had just left. Out of options, he had no choice but to drag his weary body back across the lake. The journey cost him a significant amount of calories, yet yielded nothing in return. Now, he could only survive on wild plant roots to hang on. What will happen when the resources around them start to run out? Will the contestants push themselves to the limit to find food, or slowly walk away from the game? Will the $500,000 prize motivate them to showcase their ultimate survival skills? All of that will unfold in the upcoming episodes. And you, if you only had 10 pieces of gear, how many days do you think you'd survive out here? Now, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss any of the thrilling updates ahead. Thanks for watching till the end. See you next time.